What if everything you've ever wanted, peace, love, success, is already yours, but you're the one unknowingly pushing it away? Here's a strange truth. The harder we chase, the further things seem to drift. It's not because we're not trying hard enough. It's because we're trying too much in the wrong way. Have you ever wondered why, despite all your effort, life still feels heavy? Why don't your relationships feel as fulfilling as they should? Why, even on your most productive days, is there still a quiet ache inside? Millions of people wake up each morning believing they must hustle harder, exert more control, and fix everything to feel worthy or safe. But what if I told you it's not the world holding you back? Is it your resistance to letting go? In this video, we will explore 4 profound truths rooted in 2,600 years of Buddhist wisdom that reveal how letting go rather than holding on unlocks everything you've been seeking. You'll discover why trying to control your path may be the very thing blocking your blessings. And you'll hear a Zen parable so powerful, it might shift the way you see your entire life journey. Because peace doesn't come when life is perfect. It comes when we stop trying to force it. And here's the most surprising part. The universe isn't asking you to do more. It's asking you to trust more. So, if you've ever felt tired of chasing, questioning, or waiting for something to change, stay with me. What you want is closer than you think. Let's begin. 1. Let go to receive. There's a quiet irony at the heart of human suffering. We spend our lives clinging to people, outcomes, identities, as if our happiness depends on keeping everything exactly as it is. But in reality, the tighter we hold, the more we suffer. Buddha once said, "You only lose what you cling to." That simple truth has shaped my entire understanding of what peace means. In Zen, we don't try to control the river. We learn to float, because control is an illusion, and attachment is the cause of our drowning. When we cling to the past, to success, to who we think we should be, we stop flowing. We stagnate. Let me tell you a short story. There was once a man who spent years pounding on a locked door. He shouted, cried, and begged for it to open. It never did. One day he collapsed, exhausted, and sat down quietly. And in that stillness, he noticed something. Another door had been opened behind him all along. He had been so obsessed with controlling how things should unfold that he missed the path life had already prepared for him. Now we laugh, but don't we all do this? I used to be like that man. There was a chapter in my life where I fought so hard to keep a relationship from ending. I said all the right things, did everything correctly, and the more I tried, the more it crumbled. The day I finally let go, not in defeat, but in deep acceptance, was the day I felt peace return to my body. And strangely, that's when life began opening new doors. When you're constantly trying to control everything, your brain stays in a chronic stress response. Your body produces cortisol, tightens muscles, and increases heart rate. Your nervous system lives in survival mode. You're not thriving, you're just bracing. Ironically, the more you try to force peace, the less your body believes it's safe to receive it. From a psychological lens, control is often a mask. We control because we're afraid. Afraid that if we let go, we'll lose love. Afraid we won't be enough unless we prove ourselves. Afraid we'll fall behind in a world that moves too fast. But when fear drives the bus, we always end up lost. Now here's the twist. The universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. If your energy screams, "I don't trust," it mirrors back delays and dead ends. But the moment you breathe, soften, and surrender your grip. The current starts to carry you again. It's not magic, it's resonance. Think of yourself like a garden. You can plant the seed, you can water it, but yelling at the soil won't make it bloom faster. Your panic might compact the soil so tightly the seed can't grow. Letting go is not giving up. It's giving over to the intelligence of life itself. And let's be honest, isn't it exhausting to try and micromanage the universe? Letting go is choosing faith over fear. It's realizing that maybe, just maybe, life knows something you don't. And that's a good thing. Now I get it. It's hard to release. You might be thinking, but what if I lose everything? To that, I'll say this. You'll only lose what was never meant to stay. Humor me here. Have you ever cleaned out an old drawer, found a tangled mess of things you forgot you even owned, and only after throwing it all out, realized how much space you finally had? That's what your soul needs, a drawer-wide cleaning. So start small. Ask yourself, what am I gripping that's already asking to be released? A title? A relationship? An outdated dream? Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you start trusting. And trust isn't passive, it's powerful. Because here's the truth I've learned after 20 years of practicing and teaching Buddhist wisdom. Peace doesn't come from controlling more. It comes from needing less. And the more you allow life to flow, the more it brings you what was always yours. Let that truth sink in like sunlight on still water. And now that you've loosened your grip a little, let's explore something even more transformative. What if the way you think is quietly shaping the entire reality around you? Stay with me. The mind is our next doorway. 2. Observe your mind for your life. In the next few minutes, you'll learn the exact Zen practice monks use to remain calm, even when everything around them has fallen apart. And the best part? You can do it too, starting today. Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever caught yourself spiraling in your mind, replaying conversations, worrying about things that haven't even happened, or criticizing yourself over and over? You're not alone. The average person has over 6,000 thoughts per day, and most of them are repetitive, anxious, and unconscious. It's like living with a radio in your head. That won't stop talking, loud, unfiltered, and usually wrong. But here's the twist most people never realize. You are not the radio. You are the listener. This is the heart of Zen. In a quiet temple deep in the mountains, a monk once told his student, "You are not the clouds. You are the sky." At first, the student was confused. So the master continued, "Your thoughts, your emotions, your fears, they come and go like the weather. But you are the awareness beneath it all." This is mindfulness, not in theory, but in practice. To watch the storm without becoming the storm. To sit still even when the winds of fear and pressure howl through your mind. And here's what neuroscience is now catching up to. Studies show that even 10 minutes of daily mindfulness can change your brain structure. It reduces activity in the amygdala, the part responsible for fear and reactivity, and increases gray matter in the areas responsible for compassion, decision-making, and emotional balance. That's not spiritual fluff. That's science confirming what monks have known for 2,600 years. Now let's go deeper. Why do we get trapped in loops of anxiety? Because most of us mistake our thoughts for truth. If the mind says, "You're not enough," we believe it. If it says, "This will go wrong," we act as if it already has. It's like giving your car keys to a toddler and then wondering why the ride feels bumpy. Psychologically, this happens because of what's called cognitive fusion. when we become fused to our thoughts, reacting to them instead of observing them. But mindfulness creates a pause between thought and response. And in that pause, there's freedom. Here's something personal. There was a time in my life when I couldn't sleep. My mind was a storm of deadlines, expectations, what-ifs, and should-haves. I tried everything, from chamomile tea to binaural beats. Nothing worked. Until one night I simply sat. No music, no goals, just breathe. And I watched the thoughts like clouds, naming each one. Fear, doubt, planning. And I let them pass. That was the first night I truly rested, not because the storm disappeared, but because I stopped chasing the clouds. You don't have to silence your mind. You only need to stop obeying every thought it throws at you. That's when something miraculous begins. The more still your mind becomes, the more clearly life reflects itself to you. And energetically. When your inner world is chaotic, your outer world responds in kind. But when you choose stillness, even just a few minutes a day, you align your energy with calm, clarity, and possibility. It's like tuning an instrument. Suddenly, the whole orchestra of your life begins to sound beautiful. Now I know what you're thinking, but my thoughts are relentless. Great. That means you're human. So here's the playful truth. Your mind is like a puppy. It barks, it chases its tail, it chews your favorite socks, but it can be trained with kindness, with patience, with daily practice. Even 5 mindful breaths before checking your phone, even pausing before reacting in an argument, even noticing your breath while washing dishes. These are not small acts. They are sacred ones. And remember, you don't meditate to escape life. You meditate to meet it fully with awareness instead of autopilot. So I invite you, today, tonight, tomorrow, take just 5 minutes. Close your eyes, breathe in, breathe out, and when the next thought arises, don't judge it, don't chase it, just watch it float by, like a cloud passing across the vast open sky of your awareness. Because you are not your thoughts. You are the space they move through. And the more you honor that space, the more life moves through you with grace, clarity, and peace. Now that you've begun to quiet the noise inside, let's move into something equally powerful. How to align your energy so that what you seek begins to seek you. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. 3. Align your energy for abundance. Here's something that might surprise you. Life doesn't give you what you beg for. It gives you what you're aligned with. And that's why so many people keep trying harder, yet feel stuck. Let's start with a simple question. Have you ever walked into a room and felt someone's energy before they even spoke? Maybe they were smiling, but something felt off. That's alignment or misalignment in action. Because who we are energetically speaks louder than anything we say or do. In Zen, we're taught that the outside world is not separate from the inner world. The way the wind bends the bamboo is the same way life responds to our inner state, not through force, but through resonance. There's an old story about a farmer who worked tirelessly but could never grow anything. He blamed the weather, the soil, and the seasons. One day, an old monk visited his land and said, "Your field listens not to your hands, but to your heart." Confused, the farmer asked, "What do you mean?" The monk smiled and said, "When your soul is in turmoil, the ground feels it. Peace must begin within. Only then can anything bloom." And slowly the farmer began tending to his inner field, his anger, his fear, his doubts. The next season, his crops began to thrive. Now maybe that story sounds poetic, but let's talk real life. From a scientific lens, your body emits a measurable electromagnetic field. Your thoughts, emotions, and even your expectations carry a frequency. This is why you can walk into a space and immediately sense tension or peace. It's not just intuition, it's vibration. Here's the twist most people never consider. You might be working hard to attract abundance, but energetically broadcasting doubt, scarcity, or fear. And life simply mirrors that back to you. Like a radio, if you're tuned to Fear FM, you can't receive Peace FM, even if peace is playing on every channel. Psychologically, much of this comes from old conditioning. Many of us carry unconscious beliefs like, I'm not worthy of success. If I have too much, others will suffer. Good things don't last. These beliefs act like energetic blocks, walls between you and what's already trying to reach you. I'll share something personal. There was a time I was doing all the right things, meditating, working, and staying grateful, but still felt stuck financially. And then one morning, I caught a thought floating through my head. If I earn more, I'll lose my freedom. Wow, that belief had been quietly running the show. So I began rewriting that story. Abundance enhances my freedom. And slowly, things began to shift. Not because I worked harder, but because I aligned deeper. Energetic alignment isn't about faking positivity or chanting mantras all day. It's about being honest with what's alive inside you and choosing again. Choosing peace over panic, gratitude over grumbling, clarity over chaos. Even tiny shifts matter. For example, instead of checking your phone first thing in the morning, place your hand over your heart and ask, what energy do I want to carry today? Before responding in frustration, pause and ask, is this coming from alignment or fear? These are small rituals, but they have big ripples. Think of your energy like a garden. You don't need to control every outcome. You just need to tend to the soil, water it with calm, sunlight it with joy, and pull out the weeds of doubt with compassion, not force. And yes, there will be days when your frequency feels low, when everything feels off. That's okay. Even the sun hides behind clouds. But the more you practice aligning your energy intentionally, not reactively, the more life meets you where you are. You'll notice things just happen. Opportunities arrive. People show up. Healing begins, not because you chased it, but because you matched it. Now here's my favorite reminder. When the inside is clear, the outside aligns. That's not just Zen, that's the lived truth. So take a breath, not to escape life, but to meet it with stillness, with presence, and with power. And if you're still with me, good, because we're about to step into one of the most difficult yet freeing truths of all. What if the timeline you're trying to control is perfect just the way it is? Let's talk about trust, surrender, and the rhythm of life next. 4. Trust the timing of your life. What if your constant need for answers is the very thing blocking the answer? Could your obsession with timelines be quietly pushing your blessings further away? We live in a world obsessed with speed, faster results, quicker healing, instant success. Even our coffee needs to be instant. But nature doesn't rush. A tree doesn't panic if spring comes late. The ocean doesn't question when the tide will return. And in Zen, we're taught something radically different from what modern life tells us. You don't need to see the full path to trust it. You only need to take the next step. A beautiful Zen is saying, let life unfold like the petals of a lotus, one layer at a time. And that's the kind of patience we're talking about here. Let me share a story you may have heard, but not fully absorbed. A woman once planted a bamboo seed in her garden. She watered it, cared for it. Months passed, nothing grew. 1 year, 2 years, still nothing. By the 3rd year, her neighbors mocked her. "You've wasted your time." But she kept going, quietly. And then, in the 5th year, the bamboo broke through the soil and shot up over 80 feet in just 6 weeks. Now the question is, did it grow in 6 weeks or 5 years? The truth is, for those years, it was building its roots, a vast, invisible network of strength and support. Without it, it could never stand tall. This is how life often works. The silence, the waiting, the uncertainty. It's not punishment, it's preparation. And yet, most of us fight that silence. Why? Because our mind craves control. Psychologically, we're wired to fear uncertainty. Uncertainty means risk, and risk means possible pain. So we rush, we push, we try to skip steps, we want the fruit before the roots. But what we don't realize is this impatience is taking a toll. Studies show that chronic impatience raises cortisol levels, taxes the nervous system, and even weakens the immune response. It shortens attention span, disrupts sleep, increases anxiety. In short, it's not just mentally exhausting, it's biologically draining. And here's the spiritual paradox. The more we demand certainty, the more chaotic life becomes. Because we're no longer flowing, we're fighting. This is where the law of attraction meets Zen. When you trust that life is unfolding exactly as it should, your energy shifts. You move from grasping to receiving, from force to flow. And in that space, you become magnetic. Now, let me be honest. I've had moments in life where everything felt delayed. Career paths that didn't take off, relationships that didn't work. And I remember journaling late one night, feeling frustrated. But instead of asking, "Why isn't this happening?" I wrote, "What if it's not time yet?" That small shift cracked something open in me. I realized that trusting the timeline isn't passive, it's powerful, because it requires you to stay open while not knowing, to show up even when the result is invisible. So how do we practice this trust? Try this. Each morning, instead of writing your to-do list, write your to-be list. For example, be calm even if things are unclear. Be kind even if I feel impatient. Be faithful even when I see no proof. Because here's the truth. Most people don't hear enough. Real strength lies not in speeding up life, but in walking with it, step by step, breath by breath, root by invisible root. So if you're in a season that feels slow, uncertain, or even unfair, don't rush out of it. Ask yourself, what if this is my bamboo season? What if everything I want is already growing, just not where I can see it? Let that thought settle. Let it stretch some roots in you. Because when the bloom finally comes, and it will, you won't rise like someone chasing time. You'll rise like someone who became time's companion. And speaking of rising, our next truth is all about making space within yourself for what wants to come through. Because sometimes you don't need more effort, you just need more emptiness. Let's explore that together next. 5. Embrace emptiness to find fulfillment. What if everything you're waiting for, peace, purpose, abundance, isn't missing? It's just waiting for you to make space? And what if emptiness isn't something to avoid, but your greatest power? We live in a culture that teaches us to fear emptiness. Empty bank accounts, empty calendars, empty feelings. We fill our lives with noise, distraction, to-do lists, titles, thinking that more equals worth. But in Zen, we are taught something radically different. Emptiness is form, and form is emptiness. The very space you resist is where all possibility is born. Let me tell you an old Zen story that speaks straight to this. A student once came to a wise master, full of pride and opinions. He wanted to be taught, but he also wanted to prove how much he already knew. The master invited him for tea. As he poured, the cup filled to the brim, but the master kept pouring, and the tea spilled everywhere. The student shouted, "It's overflowing!" The master calmly said, "Yeah, and so are you. How can I offer you anything if your cup is already full?" That's us. Our minds are full. Our identities are crammed with shoulds, roles, and expectations. And yet we wonder why nothing new seems to enter. Psychologically, this is identity attachment. We get so locked into ideas like, I am the fixer, or I am the provider, or even I am the one who always struggles, that we don't leave room to become anything else. Our sense of self becomes cluttered, like a room with no light left to walk through. No wonder we feel stuck. And here's the twist. You don't need to add more. You need to subtract. From a scientific view, our brains crave simplicity. Studies in cognitive psychology show that mental clutter leads to decision fatigue, anxiety, and creative block. But when we reduce input, declutter our mind, the prefrontal cortex lights up. Suddenly, ideas become clearer, emotions settle, the nervous system regulates. You feel space again. From the lens of the law of attraction, this space is magnetic. Because when your heart is cluttered with noise, doubt, judgment, fear, you're not a match for abundance. But when you empty, you receive, not from desperation, but from readiness. And here's where it gets real. Years ago, I was holding tightly to a spiritual identity. I had spent years building the perfect persona, wise, peaceful, grounded. But in doing so, I was quietly editing myself, afraid to feel anger, afraid to show struggle, until one day I sat in meditation and simply allowed myself to be empty. No title, no teaching, no self-image. And in that raw, hollow space, I finally felt the truth. I wasn't here to perform peace. I was here to embody it. So how do we begin emptying? Not by running to the mountains, although tempting, but by practicing small releases. Leave a conversation without needing to be right. Sit in silence without checking your phone. Let a thought pass without building a story around it. Say, "I don't know," and mean it. These moments may feel small, but they open up something vast, because the less you cling, the more the universe can flow through you. Like bamboo, strong not because it resists, but because it bends. It's hollow inside. And yet, it's one of the strongest plants on earth. So maybe the goal isn't to be full all the time. Maybe it's to be flexible, receptive, open, because fulfillment doesn't come when we stuff our lives to the brim. It comes when we create enough space for life to enter. So ask yourself, where can I make space today? In your home? In your schedule? In your thoughts? Even just a breath of space can change everything. And remember, the less you cling, the more you receive. That's not just spiritual poetry. That's physics. That's biology. That's life. Now we've journeyed through letting go, observing the mind, aligning your energy, and trusting the flow. But in our final chapter, we'll bring it all together. Because knowing is not enough. The real transformation begins when you live from this space where action flows from peace, not panic. Let's step into that together. As we come to the end of this journey together, take a moment to breathe, gently, deeply. Let your heart catch up with everything you've just heard. Let's remember the 4 truths that quietly change everything. Let go of control, because peace doesn't grow in clenched hands. Observe your thoughts with kindness because you are the sky, not the storm. Align your energy with intention because life mirrors what you radiate. Trust the timing of your path and embrace the emptiness that makes space for miracles. None of these truths ask you to be perfect. They only ask you to be present, to release the noise, to live as if peace is already possible because it is. Imagine your life 1 week from now. If you practice just one of these, what would change? What would soften? What might begin to bloom? Now, I would love to hear from you. Which of these truths spoke to your heart the loudest today? Share it in the comments. Your insight might be the light someone else needs right now. And if this video felt like a breath of calm in the chaos, I invite you to subscribe. Together, we're building a space for healing, wisdom, and quiet transformation. And finally, remember, everything you long for is already on its way to you. Trust the process, breathe deeply, and allow yourself to receive.